Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 8 of the Road to 2100 series. In this series, we play 3 to 4 rapid 10 plus 0 games and attempt to reach the now a bit far off rating of 2100. So, last episode, as a recap, we went a little under 2000 because we had a bit of a hard episode and a bit of bad luck. But in this episode, I hope, based on the title, we get better luck and greener pastures. So, before actually we had some bloopers and the stream wasn't connecting. So let me just quickly check that it's all working now perfectly. Turns out it isn't working perfectly. Maybe we need to wait a minute, but I will wait a minute and I'll just chill here. Okay, so now we're good. So, without further ado, let's continue with, continue with our first 10 plus 0 rapid game. Well, second, I don't know. So we're white, 1997 against B1W1 or B1, I don't know. Okay, so let's go for E4, which is our typical starting move, and Knight F3, the Sicilian I like to typically play. And we got D6, so mainline variation. And now after CD, let's go Knight takes D4. Knight F6, Knight C3. Okay, so A6. Let's go F3. This is the Najdorf variation. Actually, I think the main line is actually with F3 instead of, Bishop E3 instead of F3. And basically the idea is that now white doesn't have Knight B5, which white usually has in all these Kalashnikov and Sveshnikov structures. And let's go Bishop E3. But the thing that I like about the Sun is that it's kind of all the same things in the major variations. Just this kind of nice setup. Of course, the Najdorf is humanly impossible to basically beat if you're playing someone who actually plays it right, but obviously not all players are 2600 GMs, so I digress. So we have H5, so this is one of the variations we know. We're getting cutting edge theory here from our opponent, who is 2000, which is pretty interesting, But, this is 2000 level, or 2100, 1978. How did I forget that? Basically the same thing. We have B5. So now, I'm pretty sure that's not the best move, but I might just be completely wrong. But in any case, let's just go for Knight D5. With the idea to just jump our knight into the center. And black's idea is that now after takes and bishop f5, that h5 prevents any ideas of g4. It doesn't really, but playing g4 would be too cost-worthy. You would have to go h3 and then g4, and then you have to worry about various pins on the rook, so it's not really worth it. So instead, our plan is to, I'm probably playing this completely wrong, and I'm trying to sound right, but I think I'm just going to try to place our knight on c6. I think this is the main plan in the Sicilian typically. And We actually get that pretty early. And now knight c6 is pretty devastating. And this is why you shouldn't really play the knight orf unless you're like titled, because you just allow this kind of thing. And even though I probably played the knight orf wrong, 1978 completely fell for it. So it's just not really worth it anyway. So the point is that if you were wondering, that after knight c6, we can pick up the bishop, or even better, we can just keep the knight here. Because I know a lot of people say the knight is better, the knight is worse than the bishop, and that is true. But in this case, there is a rule of thumb. The farther the knight gets down the board, the stronger it gets. And when it's on the 6th rank, anchored by a pawn which is well defended, it's pretty strong and controls many key squares. So it's hard for black to get rid of it, but luckily this pawn isn't defended by another pawn, so sometimes there are some tactics with knight d5 and the knight gets not enough defense. But in this case, we don't really have to worry about that, because we always have the safe escape with bishop e7 if we ever have to. And now I'm going to capitalize on this nice pin we have here with our bishop. So kind of using all our pieces. Let's go queen a5. And now you'll notice how great this knight is. It's preventing any sort of... Well, actually, there might be knight d5 here. Yeah, okay, never mind. Not great, I guess. Yeah, okay, I kind of messed up. But it's maybe okay. We'll have to see. So, actually, no. Because think about this. There's some tricky tactics here. After rook d5 and bishop b5. Because think about it this way. Now the rook defends the last rank, so there are no potential checkmates, which there was if you went rook takes b5 with queen c2 and queen b1. And now the queen is pinned and forced to capture either... the queen is pinned, so I can't even capture the rook. So, if the pawn captures... Wait. Yeah, I kind of messed up there. Never mind. Yeah. That was really sad. But it seemed like bishop... Yeah, and they don't even realize it. They just get completely tricked. That's so... Well, actually, I shouldn't say this stuff because... No offense, B1, W1, but you might be stream sniping. I don't know. But probably not. They didn't actually see it, but B1, W1, if you're watching, there's actually just AB. And so actually we're just back to 2003, which is really nice. My peak, I think, was 2030 or 2025. We're kind of a bit away from that, but we'll get there eventually. And we have a ready. So, as I said in my stream before, against ready, d4 or c4, we transpose to a d4, it seems. I'm not sure why they play the ready, because if you play the ready and then you play d4, there are many different variations. Maybe they're just a Catalan player, I don't know. But in general, I just like to pre-move this. You can even pre-move that. Okay, so we got a London player. So no offense, London player, but the London sucks. Unless you're like very low rated. No offense if you're very low rated. Because watch this. I'm just going to show you how easily you can mess up the London. You already messed up. When you just you can't do this all the time. It's something that people don't understand. You can't just play bishop d3 in queen c2 or c3, because the bishop on d3 in the king's Indian defense is not optimal, because there's always these forks here, which clearly your opponent doesn't understand and loves to spam the London all the time. And now they're gonna play bishop g. Okay, never mind. I mean, bishop g6 was probably an okay try, but I mean, nothing anyway. And now your bishop is gone. And that literally just helps me, because queen e7, and what is that knight doing? I can just, and then subsequently they just blundered. Because it's insane how highly you think of 2000s, but they're not all that tough. I mean, they also just blunder random forks like this. It's not that insane. So all you 1500s and 1400s out there, have hope. You can get to 2000. And I have a really bad feeling. I'm not going to say it. I'm just not going to say it. Well, I kind of have to, because, yeah. So I have a really bad feeling, which always happens to me, that I'm just going to blunder something horrible, and then I'm going to lose the game. Which hopefully doesn't happen, but it has happened. So, like, I don't want to throw that out the bin. And we might already have a slight problem here, because our g6 pawn is hanging. Maybe I was a bit too... Yeah, it's probably a bit too... What's the word? Attached to that pawn. Because, yeah, now I get... Well, there's nothing really here anyway. Because, okay, it might seem a bit scary, but technically, rook h8 is defended. Everything is safe. And all checks are just met with a block, simple block, like queen f6. And remember that we are up a piece, so if we trade, we're just winning. So now queen g5 obviously falls into this trade, which white might make, but because it looks scary, but all of the things that white has is kind of short term if they go queen g5. It looks intimidating, and black's piece coordination is relatively bad, but after a move like king e7, you don't really have much, because king f6, a king fork is actually incoming. That's how bad it is. You're gonna get forked by a king in a position where you have two rooks and two minor pieces and a few pawns. And the rook technically cannot do anything, because again, king f6. And after that, the rook is just going to slide over to h8 or f8, depending. And our opponent makes a smart decision of not taking. So let's go knight c5. There's an obvious idea here. And you're kind of forced to take. So there is this kind of stuff coming. But I don't think we have to be too worried about it. So I'm just not going to worry about it, yeah. Is my opponent stream sniping? What? I meant by this was coming that you move your queen to c2 and then you take here. Yo, opponent, if you're here, this is not ethical, and you completely misunderstood what I said. And to be honest, you're kind of garbage for believing that. Like, no offense. Well, kind of offense because you stream sniped. That was kind of a really, really odd thing you did there. And you don't even... Like, I don't even know why you believed me. Because I'm not... Like, to be honest, I'm 2000 and you're 2000. Well, I'm 2030. And if you like really didn't see your queen was hanging, and that's really coincidentally, you just hung your queen. Yeah, there's no way that's possible. So you obviously stream snipe, and you just lost the game. So like, don't stream snipe, because that'll just happen to you. You'll just misunderstand, or the streamers will pick up that you that you are stream sniping, and they will just say things to throw you off. Well, I didn't have the intention of that, but it happened anyway. Yeah, so don't stream snipe. You too there. Do not stream snipe like this guy. And also, I'm to add this to the title. We're just going to change the title. Stream Sniper. And now you're just going to be like, no offense, just kind of clown on in this title. So, you should know that, like, don't do that. I'm not sure why I'm saying that 2,000 times, but I just want to put out the message. Don't stream snipe, because it's just not ethical, and it just doesn't help you. I mean, okay, I was a 2600 GM, maybe, or something. Well, it's still not ethical then. But I'm not even that better than you, man. Wait, did the title change on leeches? Yay, it did. Let's go. Wait, what? Okay, never mind. That was so weird. So, our opponent resigns. Should I, like, DM them? No, I think that would be a bit too harsh. But, I mean, they did stream snipe. Okay, we're DMing them. Okay, there we go. So next game, I hope I just don't get banned by Leech's mods. I don't know. 1975, E4, E5, typical. Not cutting edge theory. I mean, yeah. So we have E4, E5, D4. We got a center game. Let's just capture. So, Queen D4. Let's go Knight C6. Queen E3. Interesting. Let's go D6. And we got Knight C3. So, typical stuff here. Let's go Bishop E6. And this is probably like cutting edgely wrong. You know. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, Knight F6. Just develop pieces, you know. Just regular stuff, not cutting edge theory. Not cutting edge anything. Not cutting edge, I don't know. So we get F4. So this is a typical Scotch idea. if you don't know. Let's just long castle. And we have pretty good development. Opponent is doing some stuff. I guess they're just like... That was really sad. And the blunder, or whatever god is responsible for blundering, struck again. So that is not nice, and we are now sent into a losing position. I mean, we do have some compensation, but it's not enough. Not even close to enough. Not even close to enough. Not even like really close to enough. So g4, obviously the idea is to go g5. So let's go h6, just preventing g5. Not really preventing, but kind of, you know. You know. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. Okay. So let's go knight here. Oh, we just played. Okay, let me just... Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. We just design. Yeah, that's bad. Okay. So sadly, we're not 2010 anymore, but we... We're 2010, which is nice. So let's just, you know, since I'm kind of crashing out, let's just, or I'm sad, I'm tilting, I don't know. Let's just play some, like, really weird openings. Let's go c4. Really weird stuff here. Knight of 6, Queen d2. So we have knight bd7. Let's go for knight c3. Queen a5. Let's go long castles. a6. Now let's just go for like pure attack, you know? h4, h5, you know, this kind of stuff. c4 does really, I mean b5, oh, what? I did not pre-move that. Oh my god. That was really, I don't even know what happened. Okay, well, that, I don't know, like... Okay, let's play one more, I guess, I don't know. Maybe we can get something interesting, or just a good old boring... Oh, no, I do get something mildly interesting here. Knight c6. Mildly interesting, not very interesting, but... No, looks like we're back to bishop g5. What is that? Our opponent's 1951. Why can't we just get like a 2200, please? B e6. Let's go queen d7. B a4. Bishop a4. Let's go b5. Just kind of gaining space and trying to do some like very probably not correct things, but as I said, I'm kind of tilted and I don't want to play the long game, so let's just go for some quick win. So in fact, we do get a bishop. Let's just pre-move c5. We just have eventual domination of the d4 square here. And now our opponent is starting to get desperate. So c4 isn't a great move because it's not really a great move. Yeah, I'm kidding. It isn't a great move because now this pawn on d3 is backwards, and it anyway couldn't have pushed to d4, but now it's like completely stuck here. It's stuck forever. And it can be pretty easily targeted along with this knight on b3 here, which is also oddly placed. Like even with something a bit weird like knight a4, which just targets the b2 pawn here. So let's go rook c8 with the idea that we want to go c4. Pretty simple idea. And again, you'll just see how weak this pawn and knight is. And even though they play rook d1, it's way easier to avoid than for c4. Because c4 not only just threatens to open up the c file where the queen is, it also questions the position of this knight, and it questions whether the queen will keep on defending this b2 pawn or it'll go, rather than just this question c4, which is easily solvable by just moving the queen. And see, now white can't really find a plausible solution, so they just have to lose a pawn. Or maybe, I don't know, I'm blundering. I don't know. Who cares? I'm probably just blundering. Yep, I think I blundered. How do I blunder so much? Who knows? Well, I guess I don't blunder if I play bishop takes. Because if I played pawn takes, then there would be like knight d4, for example, and e6 hangs and a4 hangs. So you would have to take this, and then your position is less commanding. Well, this is the only way I can seem to... Okay, so again, that is a bit risky. I mean, it's not a bit. I mean, it looks very weird. Because I don't see a point, really. Like, what if I just go queen a7 and attack your knight? I guess b3, maybe? But b3, there's just like... Or maybe there isn't. Oh, I have to protect this rook, so I have to go queen a6. Because then b3 can be met with bishop e2, which I guess their opponent maybe just missed. I have no idea. In any case, b3 worst case scenario, we can just take the knight. We're completely fine. So I'm not sure what the idea of knight a5 is. Looks visually unappealing too. Okay, so I guess that was the idea, maybe. But now we just have a commanding position here. This bishop on h5 is just not... h4 is just not good. The pawn on b3 can be taken, and there's no good way that white can like actually threaten the center, which white... not the center, well, this pawn, which white like really has to do right now. So we have queen e4. I'll just pick up this pawn. There's no really threats I can see here. And if you see my king is kind of unsafe, I could just easily play without any problems bishop a3 and castles. But I don't really feel threatened by anything in white's position here. The pieces are very discoordinated. And in best case scenario, they'll get maybe their rook out and their rook staring at the d file. Or even something like this. But there's no concrete threat here. So even something simple like c3 will just demolish white's position here. So knight f3. Now it looks like there's pressure, but think about this. They have to sacrifice a lot of material to gain something that's not even absolute. So they probably are going to do it 100%, but it's just a very risky decision. Which might be good or might be bad, but it's probably more tilting towards bad because of this c pawn, which is, even if I just lose a piece, I can just put all my money on the c pawn. And even though white can keep on giving pressure, I can keep on defending. Like, first of all, that doesn't even have a threat. It's just a fancy looking move. Like, oh, your pawn's pinned. But I can just castle now. I mean, there's nothing much to think about. Just castles and everything is well. Now your knight's attacked suddenly, and your fancy move doesn't turn out to be actually correct. Or perhaps, I don't know, stock officials say it's the best move because there's no other really choice you have. Or, so I don't know. But to be honest, it's not best move here. So we have knight f5. So the idea is kind of just, again, pretty simple and easy to deflect. The idea is just to go the idea is just to go for the simple queen g4 threat. But we can just block it with rook c7. There's nothing that white can do. Knight to h6, just king h8, just avoid this, and this fancy knight move again creates problems for white. Problems for white. And notice now that our c pawn is suddenly rolling down the board at high speeds. We can follow up with knight to d3, just winning a clean tempo. Rook c7, knight d3, winning a clean tempo. Yeah, and our opponent just does that, but there's nothing concrete here. I guess they would do that because looks fancy knight moves, but there's just nothing here. Yeah, our opponent has to go back. And c7, and suddenly knight d3, c1 queen, and white has no defense. And I'm just gonna spam the Zen button because why not? You know, just why not? So we get f4. So again, there's no exact concrete idea here, I think. But in fact, we just have knight e3 and the pawn is just gone. Which is like really nice. And now c1 promotes. And basically white has nothing. So rook f1, free pawn. I don't know what I wanted to do there, but I mean we can take the free pawn, but I think just queen. Or, you know, rook. Just something, you know, funny, just 3 rooks, yeah. Let's just make Alekine proud. The Alekine's machine gun it's gonna be the new tactic name. We're just gonna 3 rooks and then a queen. The Alekine's, you know, if you don't get it, Alekine's gun is called 2 rooks with a queen in the middle, and it's just super strong in general. So we're just gonna make Alekine's machine gun. We're gonna make Alekine proud. Bam. Now H4 is threatened. And I think they're also helping with memes because, yeah, they're not taking the rook. And now let's go with bam. No bam. Bam. So now if they go queen here, we can just follow up with this. And now they don't have any comfy retreating spot. Oh wait, actually that just hangs g7. Never mind. Don't do that. I guess I'll just trade queens. Maybe we'll get a 2 rooks versus 3 rooks endgame. It's kind of funny to say that. You know, I'm just gonna play the theoretically winning 2 rooks versus 3 rooks endgame. You know, it's in the books. It's pretty hard to win, but if you're a good player, you can just win this endgame. And this just makes it easier for us. We can just do this now. And queen b7 always is a fallback if g7 gets threatened, which you really can't here anyway. So you don't have to worry about that. So let's just go queen a7 check, defending this. Check and defending that. And when we get hit with this, we can actually just simply go this. And now our queen is here for the perfect Alekine's machine gun. Please, and they can't even go rook c1. They can't even try to block it. Okay, why are they... Yeah, that's not doing anything. They don't understand that, seemingly. Yeah. So now, they simply must surrender. The 2 rooks are just gonna destroy their position. 3 rooks. Or maybe I'll just make 4 rooks, I don't know. And bam. Now the queen is just crisscrossed. Applesauce. I don't know. That was really bad. Okay. Never mind. We just lost the bishop. Which, I'm not sure how that happened, but that's, like, not good at all. But, like, I have kind of been toying with my prey. And to be honest, now I'm just scared, so I'll just go for the kill. G2 is just crisscross applesauce. And they can't even defend it in any way at all. Wait, I guess there is fork actually, but that's not really a fork since I have rook e2 and checkmate is still there. Okay, so I guess I missed that move. But bam. And now they'll either have to trade into a completely losing endgame, or they'll just surrender and resign. And they have 1 minute anyway, so there's nothing really that impressive they can do here. "59 seconds, and that little noise will alert you that you're completely lost, and you just lost knight. And now, as I said, we'll get the book theory with the 2 rooks versus 3 rooks endgame. And you know how they say 2 rooks on the 7th rank? Now we're just gonna get 3 rooks on the 7th rank. And if you know anything about endgames, you know that 2 rooks on the 7th rank is just completely winning. Like, not even close. The other 2 rooks have no chance. So imagine how much firepower 3 rooks will bring. Bam! The triple rook blockade. Let me just rename this. And 3 rook and we're gonna name this multi-rook destruction. Destruction. Okay, there we go. Bam. I want to promote 2 more rooks, but I don't think I can. But maybe our opponent will help us in the memes, and they'll just like lose a rook randomly. They have 30 seconds. I don't want them to time out though. That won't be good. No, how high rate is opponent bullet? No bullet? Oh no, they might not be able to do this. Basically, if you're watching this, you should just, like, this person, if you're watching this, you should just do this and then lose your rook and then spam king moves. Lose the rook or you're gonna lose out of time. Why are you even trying, bro? Just do what I say. Oh, I can't even move the king now. That's sad. Yeah, this is definitely not a bullet player. Way too slow. Oh, I just lost the rook. That's so cool. This is how, like, a bullet player should be. Did I just... wait. Yo, wait, this... yeah, and now too risky. I know they're probably... in these situations, you just have to predict what your opponent will pre-move. We're just king g4. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this video. Or stream, depending if you're watching this live. And we will see you in the next episode. I will see you in the next episode. I guess my lights will also see you in the next episode. I don't know. And now get out of here.